All right, so how are we going to do this one? Well, it's a polynomial. If it's a polynomial, we want a factor. So synthetic division would be an idea if you know synthetic division. But let's see, is there any other things we could do? And there is. Factor by grouping is really cool. It just happens sometimes. I feel like I don't know, can't really tell you a good way to know when it happens and when it doesn't. But this is how it goes. So you group it. We got that group, and then we got this group is how we're going to look at things. And look what can we factor out of the first group? Well, there's an x squared in both of those terms. So let's factor an x squared out of the first group. And what does that leave us with? X minus 1. Awesome. Now, what can we factor out of the second group? Well, we can definitely factor out a 4. And if we wanted to, we could factor out a negative 4, right? Well, if we factor out a negative 4, what does that leave us with? Well, negative 4 away from the x, that just leaves us with the x. Positive 4 divided by the negative 4, so now that's a negative 1. So look what we did. We grouped it. I mean, these are all like kind of obviously legal things. We factored an x squared out from the first part, factored out a negative 4 from the second part. But now look what we have. Now it's like we have two different things again. And look at what both of these things have. Both of these things have an x minus 1. So we can actually factor that entire x minus 1 out to the front. If we do that, what does that give us? So we have this x minus 1 that we're pulling out to the front. And then what are we left with? Well, x minus 1, we take that away. We're just left with x squared. X minus 1, we take that away. We're just left with negative 4. And so look how nicely that ends up being factored in the end by doing that. And just because it kind of worked out, because we were able to factor something from the first group and something from the second group to get this same thing here, that we're then able to factor out of those. That's the whole gist of factor by grouping. So now it's our whole idea. We got two things multiplied together to get 0. So x minus 1 equals 0, or x minus 4 equals 0. So x is plus or minus 2, or x equals 1. Factor by grouping is pretty cool. It doesn't come up very often, especially because when it does come up, you kind of just often go straight to synthetic division. But it is really cool that it's something you can do.